Hello and welcome to the Will It Send Me to Hell podcast, the only podcast that has different ambient room tone every single time. My name is Dalton, and joining me here today, as always,
is Michael. I wish you hadn't said is as always, because I was going to say Michael again, but then you say
no, as always every
again.
Single time. For now, so far.
I always feel semi-autistic when you have like this big intro, and all I participate in is Michael.
That's the only time you feel semi-autistic?
Yeah. Yes. You have something to say?
No, I can't tell you your feelings. What
did we watch this time, Dalton?
This time we watched Cowboy Bebop, the 1998 anime. Watanabe. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Yes, Shinichiro, that's his first name, Watanabe.
Yeah.
And that's the director. And we did not watch the new series that just came out on Netflix because it's almost certainly garbage. I've seen clips of it and it looks really, really bad.
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I've just seen clips. They made Faye unattractive, which is just a wild choice. And because I think she still wears like the skimpy outfit.
No, it's not as skimpy.
Oh, really? Oh, well, it's weird. Weird casting, and also just like the humor comes off as like daytime TV sitcom humor.
It comes off as humor that was like half funny in 2013.
Yeah, it's not good. From what I've seen, I haven't watched it. That's the point, though, is that we didn't watch it.
We didn't watch that.
We didn't watch it. We didn't watch I think there was a Japanese movie live action that they made years ago. We didn't watch that. We watched the show, and Dalton watched the Knocking on Heaven's Door 2001 Cowboy
Bebop, the movie.
The movie, which I have seen before, but I didn't watch again for this just because I didn't have the time, and it's really just another extended episode of the show. It's good. I think it's good, but it's not like necessarily.
So, what we're here to talk about is the morals of the show.
Will this show send you to hell?
Yeah. So we're looking at the themes, the kind of the more hidden stuff that you might not get.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're looking at I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't want to make that a habit.
No, go
already.
ahead.
But
I will have another drink.
We're looking at everything from the surface level of like, is there nudity? Is there like surface sort of like gay relationships or something? Just stuff that you shouldn't be exposed to or expose your kids to, or that kind of basic stuff. All the way to like, do you think a satanic cult, the satanic pedophile cult, may have had something to do with the making of this movie? Mm-hmm. Like, if from one side to the other and everywhere in between, that's what we covered.
No one else does this.
No one. The thing
you would think someone would do this.
No one does. There's like maybe one or two that do something similar, and they're not Catholic, so they don't really get the full. I think there was some guy. There's some like quote about how like if you're not Catholic, history doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So they get part of the way there, you know. But even then, not really.
Yeah,
you know,
and it's like, you know, I'm a big boy. I can handle a few.
I'm a big boy.
I can handle a few little things. You know, if there's a little bit of nudity, but overall, it's not gonna. It's good for me.
Sure.
Look, I can handle it. I can handle some violence.
I mean, have you seen some of those Greek statues?
They have penises.
I meant the women.
Oh,
but if that's okay, Dalton.
Just look at it as a whole, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
So that's what we do. That's what we
do here, and that's what we're going to do here.
So I guess before we get into it, at the risk of I think maybe you should go watch the show if you don't want a spoiler. We haven't really done a spoiler alert before.
That's interesting. This makes me think, Dalton, have you liked this more than anything else we've watched so far? That this is the first thing you want to say, go watch it first?
I'll get into it.
Do you like that?
I'm just letting you know, first of all, spoiler alert.
I guess we should say that.
We're gonna spoil the show.
If you've been listening to this show, this podcast, for all the episodes before this, then it should come as no surprise that we're going to, like, obviously spoil everything about it. You know, that's like what we do. But if this is your first time listening, you should. I don't care about spoilers as much as most people.
Some people, really
but you
care.
should be aware. We are going to spoil it. That doesn't mean you can't go watch it and it won't be good. It'll still be good. I think if there's any piece of media that if you spoil it, it's then not as good, it wasn't a good piece of media.
I don't know. I think knowing the ending going into it might undercut a major theme of the show.
I will get into that. I would say
I'm being cryptic. I don't want to blow my whole load right now.
I would just say this. There is always a difference between when you watch a good movie or a good show or read a good book. There is a difference between the first time you read it and the second time you read it. And depending on how good it is, there might be a difference between the third and the fourth and the fifth. But like by spoiling something, you've in a way kind of skipped the first watch.
Interesting.
It's the same as if you're watching it for the first time, but in a lot of ways it's like you're watching it for the second time because you know what happens, you know how it ends. That's not bad. I think the second viewing of a lot of things is better than the first, but like you are skipping ahead, you know. So it's good to know that. Yes, we're going. If this is your first time listening, we're gonna talk about like everything that happens, you know. Like,
did you like the show?
I love this show.
I love the show.
I think it's such a great show.
It's
fun
such a joy to watch.
Just at a basic level, like the visuals are great, the music is amazing, and even though like the premise of the show is like he tried to take like kind of not a space opera, but like a sci-fi setting, and then mix it with like jazz at like an aesthetic kind of level, and the thing is, the soundtrack's amazing, but some of the best songs are the ones that are not jazz in any way. But still, amazing soundtrack, amazing visuals. Characters are likable. The whole show is just fun.
Yeah, it is.
know, like. So yeah, I love this show.
I loved it too.
Not the first time I've seen it, by the way. It should be worth mentioning. I saw it when I was probably in high school. One of the first anime I probably ever watched, actually.
I saw almost all of it when I was working on a fishing boat, but then my laptop died.
What, like episode 22 or something? Like
yes.
near the end? Oh,
yes.
That's
so it's like, it didn't stick in my mind so much. When you see the end, it's like, this is now
the end.
fully solidified in my mind, this show.
Yeah.
But before, it's like, oh yeah, I kind of remember Cowboy Bebop. Now, it's never getting forgotten once you see the ending. So, I have another thing I want to say before we get into it.
Okay.
This is a mind shift change for me.
Interesting. Okay.
A mind shift.
All right.
So
Chris Angel, mind shift.
So we haven't really discussed it on the show before. I think it might have been mentioned. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of James Bond to like an embarrassing degree.
Sure.
But
I'm embarrassed.
Stop. You're hurting my feelings.
Sorry.
But like I listened for a while. I listened to multiple James Bond podcasts.
Sure.
I'm down to just one, but it's the best one.
Okay.
I've been on it, by the way.
Okay.
So I'm a big fan, but I kind of started like not. I hadn't watched them for like a year and a half or 2 years. Like any movies,
right.
with especially the new one kept getting delayed. I was like, I'm not so into it. And then especially doing like more moral stuff, it's like, there's stuff that's maybe not so good.
Rape.
There's the one that has rape, which is a really good movie. It's just a weird scene, so I was kind of, I wasn't about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And the new one, No Time to Die, has been out for like well over a month.
Mm-hmm.
I hang on to see it. I have a kid. I'm busy. It's hard. It's hard to make time, but I really could have made time if I really wanted to. I just wasn't into it. So I finally saw it like a month after it came out, and I was the only guy in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, all right, I'll see what they did. I'll maybe get back into it. And then the whole, the gun barrel, James Bond walks across the screen. And I got a big fucking smile on my face. Like, I'm just like, yes. I'm so happy. I fucking love this. And I enjoyed the whole movie, like, beginning to end. It's also the best one since Casino Royale, by the way.
Wow.
So, I was as happy as can be. And I'm driving home from the movie theater. And I'm in the neighborhood, going to my house. I just put on the brakes. I start crying. I start crying. I go, fuck, I love James Bond so much.
I don't know how to take this.
It's like I just kind of became like Mr. No Fun about a lot of stuff because it's like there's some bad stuff in there. I should feel bad about liking this, but at the end of the day, I really really like it. I'm probably good. I took a break. I kind of grew like morally and in the faith and everything, and it's like this is just something that I really really enjoy. I have fun. I'm aware of its shortcomings. And I'm not as puritanical as I used to be. I think you can accept a little bit of negative in your life for the amount of fun and joy that I get from watching James Bond movies. Since then, I saw it a few weeks ago. I've watched 2 more James Bond movies again, and I watched You Only Live Twice and For Your Eyes Only. And I'm probably gonna watch Tomorrow Never Dies tomorrow. I'm just gonna sit there, eat tortilla chips and salsa, and just enjoy myself. So I'm gonna say some negative stuff about Cowboy Bebop, but I think you should enjoy it. I think it's really, really enjoyable, and there is some negative stuff in it.
Sure.
But it's so much fun to watch.
Okay, what I'm hearing is that you owe Evangelion an apology.
Not because I didn't enjoy it. I did nothing morally. I didn't enjoy it.
Okay, all right. Interesting.
I'm putting a more emphasis on fun in my life, and that will be brought into the podcast here. Are you having fun?
I had fun watching it, but I have fun watching.
You're not having fun now.
I'm having fun. What do you mean? It's fun to dissect a show. So
it is fun to dissect a show, but I don't want to kill the fun of the show itself. Yeah. Doesn't Gandalf tell Saruman it's like if you have to destroy something to understand it, you're a retard or something?
I don't know.
It's just I paraphrased that, I think. But yeah, it kind of an open question about this show that we're doing itself. How far do we take it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to take it far enough at least. I would say there is an element of the point at which you're at least understanding what it is you're watching can allow you to have fun with it and not have at least the degree of the negative effects of it. It's like I haven't seen the newest James Bond movie, but let's say like it has some like propagandistic elements to it.
Yeah.
If you watched it and you were just like, I'm having fun just watching this, and I'm not, my brain is off.
Yeah.
Then that propaganda is going to work, basically. Whereas if you recognized it and you're still having fun watching it, but you know what it's trying to do, I think that inoculates you to it to some degree, you know? So I can see that. So.
Okay. Because I think there's a chance Cowboy Bebop might send you to hell, is why I'm saying this.
Interesting.
But I also think it's an extremely fun show.
Okay.
So, like, the characters are great.
Right.
I love every single one of the characters.
They're fun.
And they have, I even like Ed. Ed's episode
fun. Yeah.
Ed's episode comes around and I go like, fuck. Now I got to deal with this thing in the show. Just fucking ruin the show. Yeah. And then after a few episodes, like, Ed rocks. I love Ed in the show. She's so much fun, despite being annoying. And like, Faye is a fucking bitch.
Yeah,
she's annoying. All the characters are just assholes to each other, for the most part. But I enjoy it. It all works so well.
Yeah.
But of course, life imitates art. So people are gonna, especially TV, people are gonna watch this and go, I like when that happened in the show. I like when Faye was a fucking bitch. I'll be a bitch.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to feel about that because the interactions are so much fun to watch, but what happens next? I don't like that.
It is, yeah, it is a conflict of. It's interesting. I guess it does say something about how good this show is that it has given you this conflict. Because you
really,
you know what I mean? Like, I think that says, and I think I would look back to, and this is actually something I was going to talk about later, and I'll go more into it, but I would look back at like the ancient Greeks or something like that, where like if you read something like the Iliad or the Odyssey or like maybe not those in particular, but like different works of the ancients, like if you took their philosophy just as they wrote it, it's not going to send you to heaven. I mean, they were pre-Christ, you know what I mean? And a lot of them followed natural law, but a lot of them didn't. I mean, like, if there's any homosexual stuff in there, just to begin with, you know? But there's a reason that the church was instrumental in preserving the works of like the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans is because they were that good. You know, like despite and it's like reading, like if you read the ancient Greeks in a Christian mindset and you're well established in the faith, then it's good enough that it's worth doing that. You know what I mean? And so I think that's something to keep in mind. I mean, that was somewhat my argument with like Evangelion. Again, I mean, Evangelion's just a funny one to bring up.
Yeah.
But like, because I don't think it's not like the best thing we've watched, and it's not my favorite anime or anything like that. But that was part of what I was thinking is like it might be good enough to justify the bad stuff about it. But it also just depends on the person. Like there's a difference. Our like what we say about will it send you to hell is different depending on how fucking stupid you are. You know what I mean? Like if you were actually just the kind of people, I think a lot. I've been thinking about this a lot. How like most people just are incapable of forming thoughts. I've been sort of trying to figure out why that is. I think I have an answer, but that's a tangent. So, but
Michael's figured it out.
I think I figured it out. I think I have a pretty good idea. Maybe it'll come up later. But anyway, there's like if you're one of those people, then you probably don't have the ability to vet yourself very well. But if somehow you did, but you're really easily indoctrinated and stuff like that, then you should not watch like almost anything we've covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the fact that you listen to something like this means you probably have some degree of self-awareness and can make these choices, which means you kind of just have to be aware. It's the same thing like we said before with like, if you're a coomer and you can't watch like, you know, you can't see a woman in a bikini in a TV show without like going and jacking off, then there are certain things that you should just never watch. Mm-hmm. And that's just how it is. Whereas somebody...
An alcoholic can't hang around his alcoholic friends.
Actually, yeah, well, there's that. He says as he takes a drink. But also, it's like the...
But you don't drink, Michael, so I can hang around with you.
Yeah. It's also like it's like the Greek statues. It's like those old Greek and Roman statues are like beautiful works of art. But if you're like turned on to the point of jacking off by one of these Greek statues,
by David,
then don't look at them. You know what I mean? Even though it's an amazing work, so it depends on the person as well and the situation, and like so we're giving people helping them get the ability to make these decisions on their own and giving them the information they need to make those decisions. You know,
I think most people without having like a good like moral or Catholic basis
foundation
or without like having a good understanding of masculinity, like either one, I think this would probably send you to hell, actually.
Okay.
And like Spike Spiegel,
right?
Very great character.
Oh yeah,
awesome character to watch. He's kind of as I see it. I hope. Please tell me this is wrong, because I don't want to think this. He's like almost a deconstruction of a roguish hero. I mean, he is a roguish hero, but then as the show moves on, we see that he has pretty much crippling depression that he hides pretty well. Like the episode with the clown guy. Yeah. He
Pirro
goes
or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not important.
It doesn't matter. I can't.
Sorry.
My brain's. What was it? No, that's not what it was.
Cogs turning.
He goes like, maybe this is the one I don't come back from. He has a death wish the whole time. Whatever happens. He does not care if he lives or dies.
I take it a different way, but keep going.
I'm glad you do.
Okay.
But I think this is surface level. That's what people are going to get. This guy's so cool. He doesn't care if he lives or dies.
I do okay. That part, I agree and I disagree. I definitely agree that there is the element of this guy's really cool. He doesn't care if he lives or dies.
Yeah.
But that's different from a death wish.
Hold on.
Not caring versus wanting to die.
Now here's the end.
Okay.
Spoiler. Last chance. He dies.
Right.
He gets killed.
Keep going.
For what? Because I have to do it. A man's got to do what a man's got to do. That's like bullshit. Like, man, yes, they do have to do what they have to do. But people usually use a man's got to do what a man's got to do for like the stupidest shit. For like, this is my responsibility. I have to go have revenge on my old friend. Fucking why? What's the point?
Yeah, there is the fact that Vicious, who he goes and fights, is like taking over the syndicate and is certainly going to use that to do tons of evil shit, which he has already done, as killing Julia, killing Annie, the shopkeeper. And but like that's not even really focused on as much as Spike just like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, like even you could certainly have framed it as like, I need to stop Vicious. But like he never even says that. It's more of just like,
it's so personal for him.
I'm gonna find out if I'm even alive.
Yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And you and it's like, there's a whole all my big ideas are converging into this already in the first 10 minutes of the podcast. It's probably going on for like 3 hours, but that's okay.
Okay.
And like there's the world of Cowboy Bebop is fucking falling apart.
Oh yeah.
There's a big theme of, like we talked about in the last show, entropy.
For sure.
In like even the structure of the show itself, like what happens in the episodes. So I guess it gets to the point where what's even the point of Spike? I know it's for revenge, obviously, but so Vicious at the end, he takes over the syndicate, the evil big crime syndicate. Who cares? A different guy is in charge of the same evil organization. It doesn't make any difference. And like, really, that's the hero moment we get, is him stopping someone else from taking over the syndicate? Who cares? And he dies doing it. Like, what's the point? And that's a reason why I kind of think it is a deconstruction of the roguish hero, is in real life, as you kind of see with Spike Spiegel more toward the end, he's just an asshole. He's just aloof. We find out he sleeps almost all the time. Crippling depression. And
it's a extremely common symptom of being depressed.
Yeah, and he has no will to live, which is why he does all this crazy, dangerous shit. So, my worry with it would send most guys, most women, maybe not, but most men to hell, is they're going to look at this and go, that's cool, that's a man, especially these days. No one knows what a man is anymore. That's what I should be. And they're going to think it's cool and noble to be depressed and take stoicism in the complete wrong direction. So, but of course, if you don't have that mindset, if you're a cool guy like me, you go, this is a cautionary tale. And it's ultimately a tragic death of a man who didn't appreciate life.
I definitely take it more as the second, but I have more to say about that. So if you have anything else about what you think the themes, but like yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from for sure, 100%.
The overall theme of the show is well, you don't know what you have until it's gone. And that's you don't really get it through the whole show. It's more toward like the last 4 episodes. Because and it also kind of feeds into the whole entropy theme. You should appreciate what you have now, because it's all just going to get worse.
Yeah.
As it goes. But I have some quotes I want to read to you from the end of the show.
Okay.
They're very short. This is either in the last or second to last episode.
It's a 2-parter, so.
Yeah. So Jet, right before Spike is going to go back to go fight the Syndicate, Jet says to Spike, "Men only think about the past right before they're dead, as if they were searching frantically for proof that they were alive." And then he turns to Spike and he says, "Turn back. Don't go.
Yeah.
Fucking leave it behind." And he says, "Why can't you just let it go?" Spike later says, and it's somewhat unclear what he's saying, but I'll tell you in a second. He says to Faye, "I felt like I was watching a dream I'd never wake up from. Before I knew it, the dream was all over." He could be talking about Julia there. He could be talking about right now, the situation, life on the Bebop.
Right.
So at the end, you see characters like reflecting, but I guess the best example of that would be Faye, who is a bitch the entire show.
Right.
But right at the end, she does try and go back to what was, and it's not there anymore. She goes back to Earth and
Singapore.
Oh, cool.
Probably based on the statues.
You know, she's a Romany, as we know, so she
made that up.
she can be from anywhere. And she sees that the past is no more.
Yeah.
You can't have it back. And then she finally appreciates her life on the Bebop. She says, I know where I belong. I know where I'm supposed to be. Right here in the Bebop. She gets back. It's all gone. It's too late. Spike's leaving. Spike's leaving. He knows he's going to die. It's too late, bitch. You should have appreciated what you had right then.
And Ed's already gone.
Which
she didn't know about. Because there was a point where...
Yes, you're right.
Spike calls her and says, like, Jet's injured. And she says something like, well, you know, Ed's there, so what's the big deal? You know.
And also, when Ed leaves, so Jet and Spike have like no affection for Ed the whole time. But they start to get it a little bit toward the end, and then Ed leaves, and they have that cool, manly, I'm not gonna cry scene where they eat 50 eggs.
Yeah, I love the Cool Hand Luke scene where they just. Yeah. I no joke. I love that scene where they are stuffing their emotions with hard-boiled eggs. It is such a that scene is like almost that's in a weird way that I didn't cry in that scene, but that's one of those scenes where it's like I could have cried at that scene.
Yeah,
even though it's like weird and goofy, but like the egg eating scene, dude.
Mm-hmm. So I guess. That's the overall theme is don't like people these days, especially now, especially people our age with school and college and everything. They're waiting for their life to start. This is your life right now. There's a line The Office. You're familiar with the show, right?
Sure.
It will probably send you to hell. But
yeah.
There's a lot of wisdom in it in some parts.
Sure.
I watched it when I was like kind of in the process of more converting, and so I got some good stuff out of it. And toward one of the last episodes, maybe the last episode, which isn't the best ending, but it doesn't matter. Andy Bernard, he says, "I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old times before they were over," and that was kind of sticking in my mind after I watched the show. Like if only you knew how good it was now. And after watching that episode of The Office, it's The Office. I feel so silly saying that. But kind of in my life, I try to appreciate what I have now. Because, I mean, when I was living in an 850 square foot, one bedroom apartment with my wife, paying way too much for rent. Way too much for rent. I just thought, like, I'm really going to miss these times someday. And pretty much at every point in your life, unless you could be in a rough place. If you're not like in a super duper rough place, just really think of if you're in college right now. College is hard sometimes, and also you probably shouldn't go. But if you're there already, you know, I'm not gonna say what to do. Yeah. Those are good times in your life. Really, really appreciate them, and that's probably the biggest thing I took away from Cowboy Bebop. And that it's not necessarily a moral message, but it's gonna make your life so much happier. So
yeah, I think there are things that support that, because now that you say that, it's true that I think a lot of the show is based around people being stuck in the past because they now, since the past is gone, recognize what they had, but they don't recognize what they currently have because they're looking in the past. And that comes up even with Spike having the one fake eye, and he says one of my eyes only sees the past, the other one sees the present. And, like, that is symbolic of everyone always living half in the past. And because of that, you can't live fully in the present. And because of that, the whole world is like a dream. And that's like what he says is like, it was like I was living in a dream. The lyrics to the song that plays at the end says, life was all a dream, and it was exactly what it seemed. And I want to be free. And it's like, so like by living in the past, you're stuck in like, you're not living. You're stuck in this dream existence where you're not really where you are. you're in the past, but in the past you were also not really there, you know? And that just continues forever, and it's fruitless. And I think it's seen in, like, actually a lot of the show, like, more than maybe you gave yourself credit for, because you also look at, I mean, most of the characters in, like, all these little episodes are stuck in the past. But another aspect of it is that, like, most of them are, for the most part, it is fruitless. Like, an example that comes to my mind is Ed's father. He dedicates his entire life to driving around Earth, which has been getting hit by meteorites all the time.
Entropy, by the way, I want to say.
Yeah, absolutely. But he is driving around doing cartography work to update the maps of Earth after every single meteor that hits. Yeah. And it's like, that's completely fruitless. Like he's trying to reclaim what Earth used to be by being able to, like, have maps of it again. So he's living in the past, and because of that, he can't actually live in the present, such as living with his fucking daughter he abandons every other day. You know, like he's not appreciating what he has because he's trying to recreate what used to be. I think that's a lot of the show. Like almost. I mean, it goes back to a lot. I mean, like, there's the fugitive who's not fugitive, but the prisoner on the prison ship that, like, the assassin he calls his old syndicate, and they're like, things have changed.
That's right. Yeah, him too. Yeah.
You know, like it's a lot. Like
the eco terrorists want to return Earth.
Not Earth in that.
Oh no, that would be Ganymede.
It was Ganymede, I think. Yeah. Yeah, Ganymede space right.
Yeah, and it's like it's too late. But sorry, a quick aside. I don't want to derail you too much.
Sure. No.
But I've already mentioned it before that I'm a Bond fan. That episode is that's Moonraker.
Oh yeah.
That's the movie Moon. There's
scene on the spaceship at the end. I knew that, like, that's Moonraker, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
because that rotating thing, isn't there some sort of rotating mechanism in?
Well, that would be 2001: Space Odyssey.
Oh.
But the plot with the poison that comes from a plant, right? Is it from a plant, that one? It comes from a plant in Moonraker. But anyway, the poison globe. It
just came from a lab, I think.
That's being shot into, is it Titan?
Ganymede.
Ganymede. That's another planet.
Not a planet. Moon.
Sorry. That's being shot into Ganymede and then breaks off into other ones, and they have to shoot it.
Yeah.
That is exactly how Moonraker ends.
I mean, a lot of the show is references to different things. Every episode, the name of every episode is a reference to, like, some song, and so like, it makes sense that they would reference Moonraker for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one episode. There's literally The Thing. So.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
It was a good episode.
That was a really fun.
I want to watch The Thing again. But
we'll probably do that for the show at some point.
Might want to. Yeah.
That's probably one of the
But anyway,
kind of movie we would do.
Yeah, do you have any, because I think there is a big point of the, and I think that's a good message, like a really good message, not to live in the past. And you can take that in a lot of ways too, like if you take it as because even the world of Cowboy Bebop is stuck in the past and would probably be better off moving past this sort of, I mean, you even get the hobby guy who watches VHS tapes.
Yeah.
Whose life would be probably 1,000,000 times better if he wasn't sitting around watching VHS tapes, you know? Or Faye. Again, Faye, like not trying to figure out her past and just moving on and being with the people she's with now would be better, and yeah.
Yeah, just fully committing to that.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too that I think Spike is a complicated character because it's like he knows this, but he doesn't do it. Like he has the lines about, like, be like water, and water is formless, and water takes the shape of what it's in. Water is kind of something that always is in the present.
Yeah.
Because, like, water in a water bottle takes the shape of a water bottle. It doesn't take the shape of the ocean it used to be in. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, and he's, like, telling people...
You should not be drinking seawater.
You know what I mean. But like... So, like, Spike knows that, and he gives that as advice, but he doesn't do it himself. He's like, he is stuck in the past. He's not like water, you know?
I think, yeah. And another kind of related theme that kind of goes in toward why things got bad at the end which is a good thing these days, is friends aren't family.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was trying to fucking find this essay because I know that Kantbot, he wrote an essay about that.
No.
I can't find it anywhere. His essays are like disappeared. You can only find them like after 2020. I was gonna read that and be like, I have some thoughts of my own to tell you because I'm so smart. I can't fucking find it. But he had talked about mostly because of shows like Friends.
Sure.
That relationships.
Friends is wild in that way.
I don't even want to think about that show. But people our age, friend groups are mostly characterized as overly involved, incestuous friends. That's how friend groups are. And this kind of, it's not incestuous, there's no like sexual tension in the group or anything.
Right.
But they're not family. Like Ed, at the drop of a hat, would rather be with her absolute garbage deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
than with these people. Like, and Faye thinks everything's going to stay the same. And no, they're just friends. You can come and go. The blood is definitely thicker than just being friends. Yeah. You know. So that's kind of a good one.
Well, it's good to, and I think part of it is also they're all aimless. Like it's different. Yeah. Like there's a difference between you join like a military battalion and you have a goal and like you're gonna be friends with those people for the rest of your life. Versus like, I don't know, I've been a bounty hunter with this guy for like 3 years. You know, like we've been working the same job for 3 years. You know what I mean?
That's all they have.
That's different. That's like nothing, you know?
Yeah. And they're friends. Good friends. They get along, you know, but when it comes down to it, Jet's fucking pissed that Spike leaves.
Well, and part of it's also that throughout the show, they're like not really honest with each other about anything.
Yeah.
So it's like, are they even friends? You know what I mean?
That's true too.
So
I think my wife is going to be happy because I'm going to give her credit for this one. But she mentioned that because we watched something else recently that was Japanese that had this kind of like escaping the past thing. I don't know what that was.
It's kind of big in the Japanese psyche.
It is.
Because they're trying to escape Imperial Japan
or
banking.
Or they don't have confession. And there's an innate desire in humans to have confession. To be absolved.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we have that. But the Japanese, they feel that. In a lot of Japanese media, I'm seeing this more and more because my wife is smart and she's mentioned this to me. There's like a Bible-shaped hole in every anime.
Oh, for sure.
That's like, I see the problems you're presenting, Japan, but you just go shikata ganai, but I go Bible would solve your problems. Spike, hey, maybe if you kind of forgot about the past, as you know, God would probably do. He's like, oh, no problem, dude. You told a priest, he absolved you, dude. I got you, no problem. Then he could probably move on with his life, but he can't. And the show ends with, you're gonna carry that weight. Which are we talking about Spike? Or are we talking about me? Because I'm a Japanese guy, and I'm going to carry the weight of the bad shit that I did in my past, and there's nothing you can do about it. So, go to confession, everybody.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Michael's taking a note, and thus ruining the flow of the podcast.
Sorry, well, I mean, it is sort of divided up, the podcast, naturally into, like, kind of your section and my section. So.
No, that's fine, because it's time to thank the sponsors. Ooh, that peaked. I won't do that.
Don't do that. That's bad. Yeah, you gotta cut that
out. let's thank the sponsors. You want to? While I get that stuff pulled up, do you want to explain?
Sure. So the way this podcast works is we run off of a value for value system, which means whatever you think this podcast is worth to you, that is what we ask that you donate to us. So if you think it's worth the price of an admission to a movie, you want to send us $5, $10, $15, cool. You think it's worth your college education, I mean, that's basically $0, you know, if you're talking about actual value. But if you know, like maybe you listen to us and you're like, hey, you're right, I shouldn't go to college, I'll give you my tuition money, that'd be cool too, you know what I mean? You want to give me your entire livelihood? That it depends on whatever it's worth, anywhere in between. If you give us nothing, then like, you know, I don't know why you're listening.
And you know, we won't ever accept any advertising.
Oh yeah, and that's the important thing is we want to do this more and more. You might notice it's been like 3 weeks since we put one of these out. It's because we need more money. I mean, it's just as simple as that.
We've busy been working. As shit. Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. So like if we want to do more of this, we just need more money. And that's 100% on the people who actually enjoy it, because we're not going to take advertiser money, because the advertisers wouldn't really appreciate us saying stuff like Friends is garbage and will send you to hell, when the person advertising for us also advertises on Friends or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like the fact that we say that like you shouldn't take the vaccine or like shit like that. It's like you get kicked off of like everything. Yeah.
The good thing about podcasting is, what are you going to do? Cancel an RSS feed?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way. Not possible. If you listen to this on YouTube and Spotify, there is a possibility in the future that we could be taken off of YouTube or Spotify. But like, if you listen to us on a podcast app, we're gonna be on that podcast app for the rest of time. That's just how podcasts work. Like, there's no way to take it down. But advertisers can always take you down.
Yeah.
So we don't take advertisers.
Because they can eliminate your income. But if it's everybody is sending in $5 every month. Okay.
Yeah, like the advertisers can't stop that. I mean,
yeah. I'm taking the value for value more in my own life.
Yeah.
I've started donating $1 a month to my favorite podcast app.
Oh.
It's just like, you know, I'm gonna put the money where my mouth is. I don't get advertising now, which is great. And also, I read the little thing that he wrote, like, hey, please support me, because you know, this takes a lot of work and everything. And I go, like, I've been using this podcast app for years. Yes, I have gotten so much value out of this podcast app.
Yeah, I give $5 a month to Sam Hyde, and I've been giving that to him for like 2 years or something now. And I haven't watched Sam Hyde in like a year. But like, I love his stuff, and I watched it for years before that. I feel like I owe the guy. It's funny, like I can watch all his stuff on Gumroad. Yeah. But yet the other day I was watching a couple of those like snippets on YouTube.
Yeah, the new pill.
Yeah, and it's like, what am I doing? Like, I can just go watch the whole thing, but
they're good, by the way. You should watch them.
I really should. I think I will soon. But I agree. This value for value system is just the way to go. It's the future.
The way you look like a fucking idiot when you stop midway to thank BetterHelp.
Yeah, BetterHelp or like fucking Tito's.
Yeah, I listened to.
See, that's the. What if I say? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. But like, what if, like, imagine if I was gonna say something about like, yeah, I think alcohol is used by the powers that be to keep us down and to put us in sort of like a happy haze state so that we don't rise up against them. By the way, today's podcast is brought to you by Tito's handmade vodka. Like, like what? You know what I mean? I can't even be honest anymore if we have advertisers.
Are you familiar with the podcast Gastropod?
No.
It's a foodie podcast.
Okay.
It's also probably one of the worst podcasts known to man.
NPR?
No.
Wow. They're worse than NPR? That's impressive.
I've listened to almost every episode.
Okay.
I despise them. And they're getting worse, by the way.
They all do.
Because they joined like a podcast group. Mm-hmm. So before it was just like a host read. You know, a host read, so that they do food stuff, and they're talking about like food companies that sponsor them. So already you've lost so much credibility.
Right.
But also they
my favorite high culture cuisine is Blue Apron.
Yeah, yes, they had Blue Apron.
It's fucking ridiculous.
It's like, come on. If you like food, you'll love Blue Apron.
Because it's food.
Blue Apron's good. It's fine. I don't know. Well, yeah, what is this? And so now they're part of like a new podcast group or whatever.
Yeah. And
they don't even have the host reads anymore. It's just like and we'll be right back with more of the history of tomatoes. HBO's new series. It's like, what the fuck is this?
You know why? I'll tell you right now.
Why?
All of those hosts feel like absolute whores reading those, and they despise it. So when their network that they joined told them like, hey, we'll just give you a fucking 30-second clip, they're like, oh, now I can just pretend it doesn't happen.
Now I can close my eyes. Anyway, you won't have to deal with that on this podcast.
Ever.
You'll just instead of that, you're gonna get us complaining for 10 minutes instead of
right in the middle of the show.
Minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
So anyway, our sponsors today, you guys, are producers. These are real producer credits, by the way. We mentioned it before. If you can put this on your resume, if someone questions it, send them our email. I'll talk to them. I'll give them my phone number. I will make sure that you get this credit. And it is a real credit because we cannot do the show without you. So our executive producer on this show is CONFOX. He's produced other shows at $40. Thank you, CONFOX, once again. And our associate executive producers are Eddie. I don't know how to say this guy's name.
Eddie? Yeah.
Eddie, you know that guy.
Yeah.
Eddie
K.
Zero LOL.
Yeah.
You're an associate executive producer, and also Magnus. I didn't want to add your last name, but I'll say your first name. And then we also have you're not so I see we have someone Haroon on Patreon. Thank you. I see that you're a patron, but you haven't been charged yet. You'll be in the next show.
That's just a weird,
I just want to let you know.
That's just a weird billing thing. So he signed up to give money to us on Patreon, but no money has been sent yet because it's based on a certain day of the month, and he did it after that day of the month. So, like, we see you. You'll be thanked on the next one. Thank you in advance, I suppose.
I just want you to know. Sorry.
We see you. We know. We are aware.
So those are the Patreon sponsors, our Patreon producers, and also PayPal. The Patreon are thanked in the first episode of the month. We're only doing one this month. But you can donate at patreon.com/willitsendmetohell or paypal.me/willitsendmetohell. Either you will be credited for sure.
Patreon is a monthly, like, it's where you would go to do it like to get a subscription sort of deal.
You might be able to do it on PayPal too. I don't know.
And then PayPal is more if you just want to send like some chunk of change, like just send
and when you through all however much and from wherever you send us the money, if that totals $500, we will send you a certificate. You're an official patrician of the show.
Do your own accounting.
We're not
gonna keep track of that.
Yeah,
we'll double check if you say like, "Hey, I donated on this day, that day. It's up to $500." We'll check, but like, you better fucking tell us what days those are because we're not gonna know.
We don't have a back office. I'm not.
Are you crazy?
I'll ballpark it like, it probably seems like you've done $500.
We're not following Gap. You know what I'm saying?
It's fine. So thank you very much. And this leads us into everyone's favorite part of the show. Definitely not the rest of the show. They hate the rest of the show. Is emails. Although first, a letter.
Oh. We received the first ever and probably only ever, because how would they have our address? But, so, this is strange, I suppose, but I mentioned before that my fiance listens to the show, which is weird enough, at least to think about it, trying to think about it. Her sister also listens to the show. And
what's
also,
her sister's first and last name?
I'm not gonna tell you that. And also, like, her parents have, I think, they watched like a video of mine or something. But like, yeah, so her sister watched. I know,
yikes,
makes me uncomfortable.
Worlds colliding.
Ooh, yeah, I don't like it.
My dad listens, and that is weird enough.
But so, and now my fiance's sister, my future sister-in-law, is like a big fan, it seems. So she sent me a letter. So here it is. It's like, I'm not going to say her name. She also put her initials at the end. I see them. I see you. But I'm not going to read them because that would give away. People are really good at doxing people. I don't know if you know this. Not on the internet a lot. You might not know this. You don't need much. You do not need much information. So I don't want to give any more than I need to. But... Dear Will It Send Me to Hell podcast, hello, this is my first attempt at fan mail, so please bear with me. When I started to listen to the podcast, I found it most enjoyable, and it became pretty much the only media I consumed for 2 days as I went through most of your backlog. I love the combination of the good, chaotic vibes and the deep, meaningful topics. So in response to your value for value system, I felt the best way to repay you for your time was to give you some of mine. Along with this note, I have sent some patches that I made using quotes from your show. I hope you enjoy them. Yeah.
Are they there? Can I see them?
Yeah, they're in here. Thank you for making such a fantastic show. If I can find anyone that I feel might enjoy such content, I will be sure to recommend your podcast. Yours truly, her initials, which I'm not going. Sorry, I'm not gonna read those. But thank you. Yeah,
he looks up.
Yeah, from
the pig episode.
So there are 2 little patches. I don't know. Maybe we'll take a picture of them and put them.
I'll put them on
description to the
Twitter. I'll put
them on Twitter. Okay. But yeah, they're 2 patches, and they're both from both quotes that have come up in the show.
What's that one from?
It's I don't remember, but
one of the quotes we don't remember. It's the only thing you see, Dalton.
I think it may have also been the pig episode. I'm not sure, but I asked my fiance about it.
Send us another letter.
And she said she was pretty sure it was something like you said, like, I don't see it, and I said it's the only thing you see, Dalton.
Okay.
It was something like that.
Well, these are
he
cool.
looks up. Obviously, I remember.
Yeah, from the pig one. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so thank you. Great. That's very nice.
So this is a good example of the value for value model. You don't have to just give money.
Yeah.
It's the classic Adam Curry time, talent, treasure.
Right.
That is what we're asking for. She gave us her time. And her talent. And her talent. We got both.
Yeah,
actually from
and
her.
She mentions in the note that if she she'll recommend us to people if she knows any, if she
That's a great way to support the podcast, by the way, is just send us around. Link us on Twitter, link us on your Discords that you're in. Just let people know.
This, to be clear, this is an exception because she has my address. I'm not giving any of the rest of you my address. So, you will have to do something like this digitally.
Yeah.
But it is a great thing to do. Send us art, you know what I mean?
You know what we could do? If we wanted, mail, we could use our buddy Jimmy as a P.O. Box
That's
VPN.
a good idea. A P.O. Box VPN. That is a good
or
idea.
we could just use a P.O. Box up here, and now you know the general county that we're in. I don't know. But
we live in, middle of nowhere. Honestly, if somebody knew what county we lived in, they would know how to find
They would know my address.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not even kidding.
There's 14 people that live here.
Yeah, so. They could just walk into the county, ask the first person they meet, hey, do you know a guy like this? And they'd be like, yeah.
Do you know the Catholic guy who does stuff on the internet? Oh, that guy? Yeah. That's 2 guys. So it's probably that guy.
Yeah, that's 15% of the population. So.
All right, emails.
Okay.
You can send. This is another part of value for value. This is their people giving us their time, also giving us time for the podcast. That email you can send it to is willitsendmetohell@gmail.com. Ask us anything. You'll see we got a variety of things asked today. So our first one is from Eddie K, who's of course the associate executive producer today. Greetings, Dalton and Michael. In the last podcast, Michael mentioned Moldbug's observation that history seemingly has a constant leftwards trajectory and labels this as entropy. Mm-hmm. From a social and communal perspective, this holds up. Over time, rules and norms regulating behavior in favor of communal health erode or are replaced with laws that promote individual space of action. Bit of an intellectual this guy is, huh?
Yeah. He reads Moldbug, dude.
Bertrand de Juvenal.
He reads Bertrand de Juvenal.
Depicts in his book On Power the process of the sovereign constantly increasing its power by siding with the masses against intermediate authorities. The Protestant state churches undermining the papacy as a player, and European courts being the most fitting example for the podcast. Okay, I think I'm following.
So, aligning themselves with someone like the King of England, and that's how they undermined the church. I see.
Or maybe the large corporations, for some reason, becoming communist in real life right now. Mm-hmm. In short, what seems to be entropy is actually energy transferring from communities, bottom up projects of culture, to civilizations of masses, top-down projects of force.
But I think that's only a part of the cycle because then eventually that falls apart. Like that's a change of civilization, right? Like you start from a one type of civilization, and then power gets more and more concentrated in the government of that civilization. But then throughout time, we see that civilization eventually collapses. But then the point I'm making is then eventually a new civilization comes about, and that new civilization is worse from the beginning than the one before it. almost without fail. Now you can say, I mean,
you can say that process in itself is entropy.
Yeah, exactly. So like what he's talking about is like a cyclical sort of thing that would happen over and over. But I think it's like it's a ball rolling downhill. It goes in circles, but it's going down.
It's a perpetual motion machine. It goes whoa, and he's like, wow, this thing's gonna go forever. But every time it's just a little bit slower. You know.
You could also, it's also true. Yeah.
So it is a cycle, but every time it's not.
And I think that, and like I said before, there are exceptions somewhat. I think the great exception is like Christian civilization, like the High Middle Ages and stuff like that. But even then,
look at now,
that fell, and now we're here, and it's certainly worse than even like. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Remember the donation we got that said, "Hey, I'll give you $100 if you don't say like a whole podcast."
I actually had forgotten, and I need to do that next podcast. You need to remind me when the podcast starts so I can just.
I was going to, and then I forgot.
Okay.
So we'll remember. Hey, maybe give us another $100 and remember to do it for the next one. This one is they don't like give a little signature at the end, so I'm gonna say this is anonymous. By the way, if you want to be anonymous, you can always use an anonymous email. But of course, if I'm not sure, I will always keep you anonymous for your emails. Hello, once again, Michael Obama and Daltona Chasing. What is that a reference to?
Obama, I understand, but Chasing.
I don't know. Daltona Chasing. I don't know.
That one I don't recognize.
This is a request to maybe, possibly, just like, check out the first episode
is he making fun of me?
The first episode of Utopia, a cult show from the UK that was very influential with interesting themes relating to conspiracies and depleting resources. It's got... Okay, just grabbed the show. I doubt you guys will actually review this ever. It's actually on our list of things to review. We made a little list.
I've seen it already, yeah.
I doubt you guys will actually see
Years
this.
ago.
Yeah, okay. So I know there's a UK one and an American one.
This is actually really interesting, and this is one thing where I feel like maybe we should review this, because you mentioned before that your dad watches the show.
Yeah.
You listen to the show. Your dad mentioned to us that that we should watch the US version of Utopia.
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting that now someone else, I'm sure this is not your dad, and now we have another person saying you should review Utopia. They seem to be wanting the UK version.
He also linked the show. Apparently the whole show's on YouTube.
Which is interesting. Yeah.
Nice. So I guess, so the UK version...
But that's version, 2 requests for at least one version of the show.
It is. One of... No. Hey, if you want me to review something, give me money. But which is another way you can be a producer. You're actually producing the show. You're controlling the direction the show goes in. So if we do the UK or the US version, I'm just going to look up what people watch more. Like, it doesn't really matter which one's better. It's what's more impactful. What's going to get more views.
Maybe, yeah.
That's just how this system
They
works.
do mention you might be one of the only full-length reviews, probably the second one ever of this work, which is interesting, because I thought Utopia, the UK one, when it came out, I saw it talked about, like, on 8chan, or I think it was on 8chan, and that's where I first, like, found out about it. So I'm surprised there's only, like, one review of it.
So yeah, Utopia, we know about it. We see you, and we recognize that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion from what I remember of it, and I want to watch it again anyway. So it is on the list of. We have a big list of like possible things to review.
Sorry. Next we have a long one, a long email.
Is this I can read this if you want. I have it up.
So we used to have a little system where I read it, and you haven't read them before, and it's like a new thing.
I haven't read any of them.
Oh, really? Okay,
I'm just saying I could read it now.
So,
I have it
so
up
you're
on my
going to
phone.
do a cold read, but I'm going to be rehearsed? Yeah. Which one is just going to go better?
You can keep going, all right.
Okay, we have also unsigned. So, anonymous. Not quite relationship advice, but eh. Okay, this guy's going to give us his life story here. This guy wrote us War and Peace here. Hey, Michael and Dalton. I'm here just to ask what I should do at this point in my life. As a teenager, I guess. That was a short sentence. Here's what you should do. Fucking write longer sentences. Next email.
What?
I'm joking. Mostly because I've grown up very submissive due to my upbringing, and only now am I more aggressive to my environment. Since I don't feel like you guys want to read through my entire life story, even though I'm going to go in excruciating detail regardless, I'll give you the short version.
With 3 quotation marks.
3 quotation marks. Is that a dog whistle? Ever since I was a kid, I was on the internet. Even when I was 6 years old.
Same, dude. I was 4 when I was first on the internet, going on Digimon.com.
Most of my time was spent there, and every waking moment I do anything in my power to push everything else away to go on the web, which is a bit surprising considering I live in an Eastern European shithole. That actually
that surprising.
Makes perfect sense.
They have good internet.
Yeah.
Or some of them do because they got internet way later, so they have good internet. But he could be in one of the ones that didn't get that. But I know Romania has like the fastest internet in Europe.
Whoa, doxing this guy
because
over
they were.
here.
I don't know if he's Romanian. I'm just saying that's an Eastern European country.
During school, I was bullied a lot, mostly due to how I just pushed everyone away and intentionally made myself an outcast. Bullying mostly ceased with me growing a backbone and a beard. Anyway, while I was alienating myself from everyone, I consumed content like crazy. It was basically my entire life, to be honest, and now that I've grown up and matured more, I've begun longing to create my own media, and I most definitely have the drive to. I know the basics of music creation, I have alright art skills, I know what stories I want to tell, and even now I'm learning to code to make my dream games. The main obstacles in my path are my family and school. They treat it as if I would never have a future unless I went all in on this IT business I'm in school for. And school itself is the most absolutely draining shit I've ever done in my entire life. Bro. Keep in mind, I'm really close to my mother.
No, you're not.
My...
It's not true. I'm just gonna guess right now that that's not true.
My family is divorced, and yet the 6 of us...
What did I say?
I'm guessing all the kids live together in a singular apartment. I've basically never had privacy in my entire life, since I guess he means physically close to his mother.
Oh, yeah, he cannot separate from his mother.
Since I've shared a room with her for almost as long as I can remember. At least it kept you from whacking off. I really don't want to break her heart, but she's so utterly consumed by the idea that I have to go through with this because I otherwise won't get the opportunity again. Sounds like she doesn't believe in you. Sure, I'm reckless and stupid for wanting to live alone in a single-room apartment working a terrible job, but at least I'd have time to work on my stuff alone and could sell said games for money too. My project would probably fail, yeah, but at least that wasn't me saying yeah. that wasn't me being like, what a fucking moron. But at least I wouldn't be working a soul-draining IT job my entire life. So my question to you is this. What the heck should I do? Ooh, I don't know, dude. My mother is absolutely dead set on me going through this school, but my current situation feels utterly hopeless unless I'm okay with hurting my mother. I know what the obvious solution is, but kill her. But it's hard to accept. Maybe I just want you guys to hammer it in. Don't kill your mother as a joke.
This is interesting because I think I definitely have an answer.
I have an answer. I think they're different answers.
But I think it's really interesting because a lot of this ties in to what I was going to say about Cowboy Bebop. And I'm not joking even a little. You go first. I'm going to try and decide whether or not I want to save my answer for when I'm talking about Cowboy Bebop.
So, I don't think you're going to like my answer.
Oh boy.
It's there's a couple of different elements to this. One, your mother's kind of fucked up. Because...
Well, I would agree with that so far.
I mean, my mom kind of did the same thing. Like, I have to go to college. Like, there's no other way. Mm-hmm. Which, part of that is she has no confidence in the person that she raised. Mm-hmm. But another part of that, I can't really fault her for, because the world kind of convinces people of that, and especially if you're a divorced woman, which that is also her fault, then, at least in some way. I don't know her whole story, but...
Oh, but it always is. No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
She chose her husband, even if her husband's... Like, even if it's 100% the husband's fault because he's terrible, she chose him, so therefore it's not 100% the husband's fault.
Yeah, exactly. So she doesn't have a man around to tell her she's being fucking stupid. That I see that a lot with women who, like, older women who are divorced and are now still unmarried. Women need someone around to say, hey, you're being fucking stupid. So she has adopted, like, the whole kind of culture as her man, and her culture says, go to college. That's what you do. So I can't fault her too much for that, but I can for getting divorced. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's fucked up.
Okay.
Should you feel bad for hurting your mother? Well, you're not hurting your mother. You're being honest with your mother. And being not honest with her is hurting her because it's not really an act of love. But in terms of what you should do for like IT stuff and like art and all, look, dude, honestly, you should it doesn't have to be IT, but does the world need more content right now? Like, I know what I'm doing right now.
Yes.
I know what I'm doing right now.
I actually think 100% yes, it does, because we have garbage. We don't have, like, anything good.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think people are way too into the idea that, no, I have the real important story to tell. And maybe you do. But if you haven't already started writing it, then how much is this really burning in your heart to tell that story? And, I don't know. It doesn't have to be IT, but I'd say, yeah, focus on getting some kind of career together and really ask yourself, how much does this art matter? Are you burning for this art? Or can you burn for something else? Can you say, like, are you going to take 2 days of plumbing school and go like, wow, this is easy. Every plumber sucks. I'm the only smart one. And are you going to be the best plumber in your town? And then go on Joe Rogan because, hey, you're like the best plumber in the world. Tell me your story. That's my Joe Rogan impression.
Good.
Are you going to be the plumber? You could do that. Like, you could burn for pretty much anything. I'm doing this right now because, like, I'm doing kind of creative stuff. Am I a hypocrite? Not really, because I had a YouTube channel and I was gonna make great stuff, and I decided, I don't really have that much to say. I think other people say the stuff that I want to say better. I happen to still be doing editing because I have a friend who I can edit for who has stuff to say, probably more than I do. The podcast is a pretty practical thing. No one does this. I wish someone would make something about media that's not absolutely brain dead. So I'm kind of filling a vacuum. If you can find something like that, then yeah, you're in a pretty good spot. But otherwise, learn a trade. Do IT, or you're learning to code. That's cool. Do something with that. But I don't know. Watch if you want more good advice that might be relevant to your position right now. Go on Gumroad. Give Sam Hyde $5 a month, and watch his shit. Watch Hyde Wars. Watch
He does have some good.
Life.
He does have a good. He does have some good advice on this.
He kind of has the exact advice, more than I do, that you're looking for at this point in your life. I'm older than you, dear. Probably most people listening to this. So I'm giving wise old sage advice, but Sam Hyde's older than me, so. He's the same kind of, he's a generally kind of dissident and a malcontent, and he has a creative drive. So he would be the kind of guy that you might want to listen to in your position. So yeah, in conclusion, your mom's fucked up. You should be honest with her, but at the same time, she's right, but in a wrong way. I
somewhat agree, somewhat disagree. But I actually do think that it ties into what I have to say about Cowboy Bebop. So, I'm actually, I have a different answer, and I think it's valuable, but, you're going to have to wait, because I think I'm going to, right after we're done reading the rest of these emails, I think I'm just going to go into it.
Stay tuned for your important life advice.
Yeah, honestly, because I think it ties in somewhat well, and I'll just tie it together.
We should do that kind of thing more. It's good for watch time.
Yeah, one guy is guaranteed to keep listening.
This is from, this is a first name for this one, Sarah. Hello, boys. Okay. On the last episode, you took a hard stance on lying, even lying for an apparently noble cause. However, in the Gattaca episode, lying was a non-issue. You glossed over it in the first half, and in the second half actually lauded the Doctor character for lying in order to get Vincent into space. I can't square this in my mind. The movie is full of liars. The Doctor, obviously Vincent, Jerome, Uma Thurman. Their lies are portrayed. She's just an actress. She's not going to space.
She doesn't go to space.
She doesn't go to space. As soon as I said it, I was like, fuck, I fucked it up. Why is this fine? I hope there's a better explanation than you both just liked the movie and wanted it to be morally correct, because to me, it seems like though Gattaca is a fantastic film, it highly recommends breaking the ninth commandment in certain situations. I might even be able to get behind that, as I'm personally not resolved that lying is unacceptable in all situations, but the two of you are. You said so in the very next episode. On that note, you both cited the feelings the movie left you with as a major cause for it leading towards heaven instead of hell. This, by your own admissions, caused you to interpret ambiguous messages in a positive way. But have we not learned that demons have access to your emotions? Please give me a more rational explanation for why the lying rule does not apply in the world of Gattaca. P.S. Michael thinking Evangelion won't send you to hell is absolute bullshit. He just likes it a lot.
I don't like it that much. I think it's good. But, no, so with Gattaca, I will say that I've had this has come up, I think, where I have gone back and forth somewhat about the lying thing. And what I mean by that is I have the belief that lying is bad, period. Mm-hmm. And I have not, and that has been what I have acted on. You know what I mean? Like I haven't.
You're not a liar.
How do I phrase this? It's like I've somewhat been considering whether or not there are in fact situations in which it is justifiable, but I haven't started lying because of that, because I haven't come to an answer yet, and so I'm still operating on the idea that it is not ever acceptable. But I think I mentioned on the podcast, one example that I'm thinking of is the idea when you're in an environment where you have a government body or something like that is like an oppressive government body that is, well, I mean, I don't want to get too vague. I mean, I'm talking about like vaccine passports and shit. You know, there was a priest, I think I mentioned the priest who said like, oh, you're good to lie about that and get like a fake passport. And I think that's part of the reason why Gattaca is hard for me is there's two things. First of all, I certainly agree that the lying in Gattaca is wrong. And it does get to, it's a tough question to answer because I think that doesn't take away, there's a lot of layers to this. One is that it is wrong, but that doesn't necessarily take away from Gattaca being inspiring, because Jerome doesn't lie about what he does. You know what I mean? Like, his results are real. He is doing incredible things. He is beating his brother when he's doing the swimming. Vincent, yeah. Sorry. That's confusing, because he's also Jerome. But Vincent is doing these things, so even with the lying, he is being, in some ways, an admirable character, even if in other ways he's isn't.
Almost lying to prove a point.
Somewhat, yeah, and like but then there's still the question of like, does that justify it? And it's like, not necessarily, and I think there is. I don't know if we focus on that. I think it's true.
That's not really a big theme of the movie, but it is an element of the movie.
Well, but I mean, the whole movie is a lie. You know what I mean? Like, that is the premise of the whole movie. Yeah, and I don't think we focused on it, but we did focus on other things when and talked about how like there are bad parts of the movie, but despite that, it's good. And I think to some extent that is the lying. I guess we focus more on the suicide as being something that's like, because yeah, like lying, I've thought about, is there a situation in which it's okay? Suicide, there isn't, obviously. Like, there isn't a situation in which it's okay, so we focus more on that. But yeah, I don't have necessarily a good answer. I don't think, I guess what I would say is that you are correct in saying that lying is wrong, and that Gattaca showing lying as a good thing is wrong. And I guess I didn't think about the fact that someone could then watch the movie and come away with the message that I should lie to accomplish my goals.
In Soviet Russia, there's Russian humor is very funny, because the Soviet Union was hilarious because it didn't make any sense.
Right.
But they have, I don't remember what the word is, but there's a word in Russian for telling a lie that the other person knows is a lie, and you know that they know that. So in the Soviet Union, what even is a lie? Everyone assumes everything to be false. Can you even fucking lie? Like, what's even the point? So in a real dystopia, it could be confusing. It could be confusing. And I'd like to point out also that in terms of like, is it permissible to say something that is not true to someone who doesn't have a right to know? Or are there extreme instances where saying something not true is permissible? The Catholic Church has not come out hard and fast on that.
No, different saints have, but not the Catholic Church.
Yeah, so nothing that we're saying here in either way can we say is definitive.
No, not necessarily.
So I would like to point that out.
Yeah, but I what do you have more? I don't want to.
Well, and also just you said we kind of justified it because the movie made us just feel good, but not just feel good. I wanted to be better, and I kind of do inspire myself.
Effects.
It has positive effects in my life, and ye shall know them by their fruit.
That's true. And it's the difference between it's not necessarily the feeling. We were taking somewhat of an empirical look. What were the empirical results in our lives? Right?
Yeah, like I wanted to become better, and I became better for watching this movie. Why? Because there's bad stuff in there, but there's also good stuff. So we kind of had to start from the conclusion and go, why? Why do we want to be better after watching this?
But I will say, lying is absolutely bad. And if you give me, if I watch the movie again with that in mind, that it could get somebody to lie to accomplish their goals, then I would maybe slightly lower my opinion of the movie. I'd have to watch it again with that in mind. But I agree. And I'd also say that, Dalton, what you're saying about the Soviet Union, I don't think it flies because, I think if more people told the truth, the Soviet Union wouldn't have lasted as long as it did.
That's a good point. Solzhenitsyn said it was all of our fault.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, the Soviet Union would not have survived as long as it did if people told the truth. And I think it's the same thing with Gattaca. I think an actual Vincent is an admirable character. Mm-hmm. And he has a lot of admirable traits, and that can lead, and some of those traits are even heroic, which is what leads to this, like, rising feeling in your chest of, like, I want to be a better person after seeing these heroic qualities. But Vincent is not a hero, really. Like, a hero in this situation would tell the truth, and probably get thrown in jail, or, like, like, the things would not go well for him, or if they did, it would be against all odds. But an actual heroic character would put his faith, first of all, in God, but also in the truth, which is God, of course. But, like, they would put their faith in goodness and in the truth and know that doing the right thing is what you must do, and you just have to trust that things will go all right, despite... So, like, I agree that Vincent is not a hero. Like, he's admirable in a lot of ways. It's kind of like... That's the problem, too, is we're watching movies that are in a lot of fundamental ways pagan, and the best of them are like I said before, like ancient Greek stories and stuff like that. They're similar to those in that we can look at them, they're admirable, we can look at parts of them that are good, parts of them that are heroic, parts of them that are holy, but the thing itself still is missing Christ, and so is therefore missing, like, what actually makes a hero, you know? And so, yeah, I think there is... I don't know if we've watched anything so far that I could say, like, that's a hero. You know what I mean? Like, that is a character that you should emulate 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. You shouldn't lie. And in that situation, Vincent shouldn't have lied. And I've even thinking about it more. I talked about how, like, I had thought about whether or not you should lie in certain situations. I've come to the conclusion that even with the vaccine stuff, you should not. You should absolutely not. Like, it's the same thing with the Soviet Union. People lying is what allowed the Soviet Union to continue. I have to trust that me telling people I'm not going to take this because I believe it's immoral because of the aborted fetal tissue used in its production, and other reasons, then, like, I need to say that because it's the right thing to do, and I need to trust that doing the right thing will pay off, even if that is only in, by the time I'm dead, you know.
We're gonna take off YouTube if I say this next thing.
I just said I wasn't taking the vaccine because it's got aborted fetal tissue. So I mean, You say whatever you want. You know?
Well, that would be the Johnson & Johnson.
Yes, true.
So
there are other reasons why
this is actually not spreading anti-vax news. This is just spreading like actual real life news.
Okay.
So with quotes around misinformation, but the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, they do not contain any fetal tissue. However, in the development of them, fetal tissue was used. So I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, the Johnson & Johnson doesn't contain fetal tissue either. It's development.
Right, but the Johnson was more so. Just don't. I don't want our listeners to be bamboozled by something. It's like, oh, actually, you're wrong about this, but do a little bit more digging. You're right. Anyway.
Okay.
People know what I mean. Last one is from Jammy. I hope you guys remembered to review the weird song I made.
I forgot.
Since Dalton texted me what he thought, but I don't know what you thought, Michael. What'd you think?
Thought it was weird and funny. That's
I
what I thought it was funny.
It was a fucking weird way to end the episode.
And I thought it was really weird. Yeah. And I kind of forgot about it, actually. And it's been so long since we listened to it that, like...
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, like, all right.
That's the review. I wonder how many people, because we talked about it like once in the middle of the show, and then people listen to the rest of the show and they go, the next podcast will start on my playlist. Then you hear, hey.
I was thinking we should start the podcast after that played with just like, well, that was weird. Like, that would be the cold open of the podcast, but I forgot, so.
Also, do you guys have any Cowboy Bebop autistic conspiracy theories? Do you?
Predicted 9/11.
Yes.
Teddy Bomber literally bombs a building that's 2 twin towers, and this show came out in 1998.
Well, the movie, actually, which we haven't really been talking about, the movie takes place in, like, obviously what's supposed to be New York.
Yep.
And do you remember like the opening credits? The opening credits, which is like just new, like, anime New Yorkers, just little shots of them. And it looks like a McDonald's commercial from the early 2000s, where just a businessman shrugging his shoulders, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
People like breakdancing and stuff. It's like, dude, pre 9/11 2001 was peak civilization.
Oh yeah.
It's only gotten worse since. I
mean, then. No, but also yeah.
I wish I was back there.
Yeah.
That would be great. As a Zoomer, that is the perfect time. And I will always consider it as such. But yeah, that takes place, and the whole thing's about terrorists.
Yeah.
Who explode stuff. I wonder if there was something in the, like, Japanese psyche that knew that would happen. Because Metal Gear Solid 2 also came out in 2001. It was released in November, but obviously it was made.
It was made before, yeah.
Beforehand. And that has a giant, not an explosion, but the Arsenal gear crashes into Manhattan.
Yeah, there's like a terrorist incident in Manhattan.
I wonder if the Japanese knew something. It's like when animals start acting weird before an earthquake.
Yeah.
I wonder if they knew what was going on. And please explain the complicated form of Pascal's wager if you know how.
The complicated form? What's the complicated form?
You explain it to me, buddy.
Have we talked about Pascal's wager before?
No.
Pascal's wager is just so it's the idea that you should believe in a religion, because if you believe in no religion and it turns out that you're correct, then it's the same as everyone else. Everything just ceases to exist, right? And it didn't matter that you didn't believe in it. But if you don't believe in a religion and you're wrong, then you go to hell. On the other hand, if you believe in, like, say, Christianity, and it turns out that Christianity wasn't real and there's no religion, then it doesning matter. You really didn't lose that much by being Christian. You still lived a good life. In fact, you may have lived a better life by being Christian. It didn't really take anything away from your life fundamentally, and may have increased it, but it was for nothing, whatever, same as everybody else. But if it's real, then you at least have a chance to go to heaven.
Too simple. I want the complicated form of this, buddy.
I don't know what he's talking about. But yeah, so the idea, so it's called Pascal's wager because it's like, if you're a gambling man, you should be religious, because that is your only chance of actually winning in the afterlife.
Winning anything.
Yeah, because if you're not religious, if you believe that there's nothing, even being right doesn't get you anything. That's, and I mean, it's a very common way for people to first start. That idea is what first got me looking into religions. Because I was like, well, that's a good point. I should at least like look, because I was basically atheist. And so I went through like, well, what do the Muslims say? What do the Buddhists say? What do the Hindus say?
I would have loved it if you became Muslim.
That'd be crazy,
that would have
dude.
been awesome.
Well, see, it would have had to be true. I looked into which ones made sense, and it was only Catholicism.
Muslims, by the way, look awesome in the Cowboy Bebop movie. There's a guy just showing Spike around Little Morocco, and it's like, everyone's like, hey, how you doing? Everyone knows each other. It just...
Watanabe, before he made that movie, went to Morocco.
Oh,
and
really?
And he was like, yo, I want to put this in the movie.
It looks awesome. I think there's a lot of benefits to being Muslim, but there's one big downside.
Yeah,
right at the end, there's a real big downside.
There's a few other downsides too, but that's a big one.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on with the show.
All right.
Thank you for your emails, by the way. willitsendmetohell@gmail.com. And again, thank you to our producers. We really cannot do this without if $5, $1, just whatever it's worth to you, whatever you can afford. Send in emails, that helps. Art, I would love some art for the show. I had one person send in art for the Evangelion episode that I put up. Art would be great. Give me some or album art for the show that can show up in the podcast. Like, oh, that's a brand new. I've never seen that before. Anything like that would be great. Let me know on Twitter or Discord, or send me an email. Anyway, you can let me know about art. Let's get on with the show.
Okay, so I was going to say, it's very interesting. I think your wife actually put it well when you said that she said there's like a Bible-shaped hole in like Japanese, like all these different pieces of Japanese culture. I feel like watching not Evangelion, dude, my mind is leaving me. Watching Cowboy Bebop, Evangelion also has a Bible-shaped hole in a way, even though all the Christian imagery and stuff.
Yeah.
But watching Cowboy Bebop, I feel like what it seems to me is, like I mentioned before, the good pagan. Like, this is an exploration of how to live your life in a world in which you do not have Christ. And because we're talking about a Japanese work, that is basically the world they live in. Because the only Christians in Japan were all killed by the United States of America with the fucking atomic bomb on purpose. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely.
So, like, they do kind of live, and it's interesting because throughout the show, Catholicism is kind of in the background. There's a nun in an episode. First confrontation with Vicious takes place in a cathedral. Mm-hmm. There's the opera singer on one episode who's reaching up towards the sky, and there's that shot where it's like right where his arm is, and you can see his hand reaching up, and he's singing in Latin something about like the Messiah, which comes back later, and I know what they were singing later. But like, there's Christianity's kind of like on the outskirts, but like, because it's a Japanese work, you know that this guy is not Catholic. You know that he's not. I mean, I think the show would have gone differently if he was Catholic. So I feel like this is sort of, all these different characters are trying to live their lives in a way, in the best way they can, and they do not know that Christianity is an option. And so it's interesting seeing the different ways they all do that, and like, a lot of it does have to do with like not getting over the past, like being stuck with and I think in a way that symbolizes original sin and the fallen state of man, and like all these characters, and I mean even like down to the most minor of characters, these are all people with problems.
Like the
these
VHS guy you mentioned, like
these
that
are
minor character fits with the theme.
And not just that, but like they're all downtrodden. Like, so many of these people are poor. The main characters are dirt fucking poor. They're always like just barely scraping by and getting enough money to like.
They don't have food.
These are the kind of people. Well, and then like even the other characters are like they're degenerate, or they've suffered from like different loss and death in their life, and like all these characters, the world is just like completely uncaring, and there's a lot of themes about like time moving on. It doesn't care about you at all. The world just moves on without you, and you're stuck there. And like, these are exactly the kind of people that Christ came for. Like, these are the meek, these are the poor, and the, you know what I mean? And
interesting.
And so I think they all kind of, approach this in different ways, but the one that's focused on the most is Spike. And I think he actually is the best you can do without Christianity, just about. And by that I mean he's a Stoic in a lot of ways. And I mean in even the good, because there are some Stoics, Stoicism kind of evolved over time, and like by the time you get to someone like Marcus Aurelius, unless my history is just way off, Christianity was already existed. So it was obviously Christianity influenced him. Whereas if you look at earlier Stoics, they're like just assholes. But he was still not a Christian, you know? And I think this kind of Stoicism is sort of it's so fundamental to the whole show. It's so fundamental that they say it in 4 different languages, what the sort of idea of the show is. Because there's this saying in Japanese, shikata ga nai, which means like it can't be helped. And in this show, he also says that in English. He says, whatever happens, happens. He says it in, I believe it's Italian, que sera, sera, which means whatever happens,
Spanish.
happens. Was that Spanish? Okay, probably Spanish, yeah. Que sera, sera. And then he says, c'est la vie, which means such is life. And that, in French. And these are all, like, Spike says each one of these in each of these languages. And it's all getting this idea of, like, what are you going to do? You know, what's it worth? Like, oh well, basically. And it goes back to the Stoic idea. I read Marcus Aurelius back when I was in like high school, and it's this idea of like I wake up in the morning and maybe for a second I dread that I have to go to work and work hard, but like, what else am I here for? You know, what's the point in complaining about it? What's the like? Oh well, who cares? Whatever. Such is life. Que sera, sera.
A man's purpose is to work.
Yeah, it's like, what else do I deserve better? Am I supposed to be laying in bed? Like what does it matter? I mean, there's not a much better way of putting it than like whatever happens happens. Like that really sums up the idea. And I was gonna say I think there's a lot of value to that, and I think watching this show might not send you to heaven necessarily, but it might be an important first step on the way. At the very least, it might, in a good pagan sort of way, get you to follow sort of natural law and get discipline and stuff like that. And I say that out of experience, because something I've realized watching the show is that I remembered just how much of an influence this had on me when I first watched it back in high school. When I was in high school, I watched... First of all, I had like no emotions, but that's like that sort of changed after like watching stuff like this and like seeing sort of some sort of heroism in some way. But also, I watched this. I was reading Marcus Aurelius Meditations, and then some other Japanese works, because the sentiment is common in Japanese work. Shikata ga nai, can't be helped. And like consuming all this stuff, especially Meditations and this. It really ingrained in me this idea of like, oh well, like whatever happens, happens, and this Stoic foundation. And I think to a really large level, I became Christian eventually because I read Stoic works first, and one of those Stoic works was literally Cowboy Bebop. Like, and because that allows you, I think that's the actual heroism of Spike as a character, is he is a tragic character. And the ending is sad because he has kind of thrown his life away. But he's also free in a way. And the song at the end that plays, lyrics are really important. The first part's in Latin, but and I'll get back to that. But part of it's also, it's singing saying, I want to be free. Life is just a dream, and I'm ascending. It's like one of the...
That's the last line. Yeah.
And I think it's because in order... Like, Spike is dead in this scene. There is some controversy. Some people think he's not dead. Let me just touch that real quick. People say he's not dead. You're dumb. Earlier in the show, the Native American guy says that... or actually, even that episode, the Native American guy says every soul has a star. And then when Spike dies, the camera pans up for like 5 minutes... and then it shows one star blink out. Mm-hmm. Clearly symbolic of Spike actually dying. There is no doubt that he died in the last scene. So I just want to make that clear. But because they show it even symbolically. But He died, so it is the end for him. But in a more, like, in a meta level, I think you do have to sort of be able to reach this, not disdain, but almost a somewhat of an uncaring for your own life to be able to do something great. And, like, for me, and again, this is out of, like, personally, I had to do this before I could, like, be a thinking person who could even become a Christian. I first had to be the kind of person that could set priorities other than immediate satisfaction. And that comes, like, that foundation for a lot of people, and for myself too, is this sort of stoic idea of, like, whatever. Like, whatever happens, happens. You control what you can control, and the rest, there's nothing you can do about it, you know? And that's not sufficient. That's not enough to get you to heaven, but I really think it is a first step.
Like waking up.
It is kind of waking up and being able to, and this is kind of what I was to tie this into what the email that guy asked about, like, going into IT and stuff. I was in, I think, an extremely similar situation to this guy. I was a year into college, and I hated it. I was in marketing, and eventually it's a little more complicated. Life's never, like, as simple as that, because I dropped out, but I was working a marketing job, so I didn't really need the degree. But then I quit that too. But there was one day where I sat down, I was still in college, and I was like, what's the worst that happens if I stop going to college? I'm like, I want to do more creative work. I don't like this work. What's the worst that happens? I'm like, the worst that happens is I'm homeless and I die. And because of the stoic stuff, and again, some of that legitimately was Cowboy Bebop. Because of that, I was able to say, like, that's not so bad. You know, like, that's the worst that happens is I become homeless and then I die. Like, okay.
Well, you're gonna die.
We all die eventually anyway. Yeah, we all die eventually anyway. So, like, what?
And you have been homeless.
Well, now I've been homeless, yeah. But it's like, that's not so, like, am I made for something better than that? If I am, then I'll get, you know what I mean? It's like, am I so conceited or so full of myself that I think I deserve better than that just because of my own existence, that if I don't work hard enough for something, I just deserve, like it's like, you come into this life, you don't deserve anything, you know? If anything, you deserve hell if you're really thinking about it religiously. But at that point, I wasn't Catholic yet. Or I was kind of in the process of converting around that time. But it's like, being able to do that is what allowed me to do everything else. And so this guy asking for advice, you have to sit down and, like, whether or not you're going to do something creative and whether that's really what you want to do and all of that, I think you should think about that. I think going into a trade is valuable. But for me, it was like, I would rather be homeless than work a 9-to-5 desk job. And because I was able to look at what is the worst case scenario, then I was able to move on and do that. So so first of all, this is kind of tying it in, but just to address this guy, my advice is you need to figure out what the worst case scenario is. You need to be able to be comfortable with that. And then I think a lot of people need to just go fucking do something. Because, like, going to some school to go to IT is avoiding whatever it is you need to do with your life. Right? So I can't at all, right? If you go, like, spend a year, you know, like I don't know how to phrase this, but let me phrase it like this. That is avoiding your life, and that's why most people go to college, is they put off for 4 more years what they want to do with their lives. But if you just drop out and then spend 4 years, like, half attempting, because you're talking about, like, music and coding,
he didn't have, like, a specific
writing
thing,
something. I mean, it seems like maybe he's got all these skills that he wants to put towards a game, maybe. But he didn't even make that particularly clear. And again, if you're going to make a game, I would not necessarily focusing on doing all these things. I mean, you can. Someone like Toby Fox did that, but
you don't want to be like Toby Fox.
Well, he's successful. But I would I would say that like you need to pick something and just do it. And I think that is the one heroic part of Spike Spiegel in the show, is that eventually he's been just drifting for years, ever since Julia, like he left Julia. Mm-hmm. He got separated from Julia, you know, the whole, but like, and then once Julia dies, it's like a wake-up call where he's like, I just need to do something. And I am going to stop Vicious. And it's like, it's not even like a moral thing for him, necessarily. It's not even like that's what he should be doing with his life. Or it's just like, he's finally going to do something. And that's why it's bittersweet at the end. There is some, like, it's bitter because he died and, like, what is it really for? But at the same time, he finally knew if he was actually alive.
I see.
He's been drifting along for years, not doing anything. He hasn't been alive. And now, by committing to that, he's alive. And that's why the line that plays, the Latin, it's like something Messiah ut de cantus, but like it means in Latin, right after Spike dies, this plays. And it's very vocal, and I'm sure you heard at least the Messiah. That usually sticks out, that word in the line. But it means, Jesus the Messiah sings for me. That is what plays and what is said the moment after Spike dies. And I think, again, I'm sure the creator of this isn't Catholic, although he does have Catholic stuff in his other works. Like every single thing I've seen of his. But, I think, even if it's not intentional, it's symbolic of, like, you need to be willing to die, to give up your life for something greater, or even just anything at all, before you can really accomplish anything. And even though Spike is dead, at a meta level, in a person's life, that's just the first step to actually making something of yourself and becoming, like, a good person.
I can see that for sure.
And so, and again, a part of this is, like, from experience. I did not realize until watching it again that, yeah, Cowboy Bebop has, in some ways, was instrumental to me becoming Catholic. And instrumental to me still being an extremely happy person. Because I still look at problems that, like, like, the other day, watching Cowboy Bebop was really easy to connect to when they're, like, super fucking poor and then something bad happens and he's just like, you know, whatever. We're eating bell peppers and beef again, you know? And it's like, just like yesterday, my car, like 3 things in my car broke all at the same time and I had to shell out $1,200. And it's like, do I have $1,200 to spend on my car? No. But my reaction was just like, I started laughing on the guy on the phone. Like the mechanic, and he was all feeling bad and like, you know, like I'll, you know, maybe I'll try and like lower it for you. I'm just like, that's just hilarious. And it's not like I'm like I guess to some extent it's coping, but like I actually think it's funny. Like that has been so ingrained into me, and it is so valuable. I am telling you, like having that kind of mindset, it's not sufficient because you need to then go and do something with it. And you need to actually do something good with it. That's the next step, is to do valuable things and do things pleasing to God and be able to take... But once you're doing those things that are pleasing to God, this foundation allows you to handle setbacks.
Yeah, I can see that totally.
Okay.
Just being able to handle... Most people cannot handle setbacks too well. I don't. I'm trying to learn how to.
So recently, I don't think I mentioned
Now
this.
I watched Cowboy Bebop, so it'll be easy.
Did I mention the thing about the real estate agent who gave me the card after I bought the house? Did I mention that on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't think I did. But I feel like, especially after having this from this guy, I feel like I handle setbacks extremely well. And so while we were buying our respective houses, we were homeless for like a month. And like everything that could have gone wrong.
The first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
We recorded in the woods.
Everything that could have gone wrong buying our houses went wrong.
Yeah.
But my real estate agent gave me a card and he left it in my house after I was done. And it was just a card saying like, I have never met someone who has been so positive when every single thing has gone wrong. And he said he said something like it's amazing or it's inspiring or something like that. And he's like, he gave me like a $50 gift certificate to some local restaurant. And it's like, I'm not trying to fucking brag or something, but what I'm saying is this is a valuable foundation to have. And so in that way, I think this show will send you to heaven, or at least in that direction.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is pre-Christian, send you to purgatory. You know what I mean? You
might be a good pagan.
Yeah, good pagan. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think it is, not everyone gets to the faith through this path, but I did. And I think it is an amazing foundation to get there. And it's like what a lot of Western civilization was built on. I mean, there's a reason when you want to like get an idea of the Western canon, you read the Greeks, you read the Romans, you read the Greeks. And it's because this kind of good stuff. And just as a side note, so that's my basic, that's what I take of the theme of the show is stoicism. And I think that's very valuable. And Spike is a really good incarnation of stoicism.
I think absolutely.
And I think it is valuable to see that as a role model, at least. I mean,
I think it can be taken too far. Like you can. Yeah.
But I think the only problem is if it's a dead end and you just keep it there. But if you're living your life now and you're like a normal person and then you become stoic, you have made a vast improvement. It would be terrible if you stopped there, but it would be way better than where you were.
I don't think either one of us can say it's going to send you to heaven, but I think both of us can say it might help you maybe get there.
I think it can. Well, and again, I mean, I'm not saying that like I'm for sure going to heaven or something, but I think this show in particular, this is one of the first times where like I feel like empirically I can say this thing we have watched has helped me get closer to heaven. So, because it is like, honestly, this and Marcus Aurelius were like the foundation of me actually being a human being. And that's what led to like reading Chesterton and reading St. Thomas Aquinas and all that. But it started there, before I was Christian, so I wasn't reading St. Augustine or something.
Yeah. What, okay. We didn't talk about basic level morality.
There are some, we did kind of glance, we went right past that. I would just mention quickly, because there's not that much to it.
There's some brutal violence toward the end, but
there's violence.
You've seen worse in other places.
Faye wears skimpy outfits, but there's no actual nudity, except the one man who got government drugs used on him in prison that turned him into a woman.
Oh, that's right. I
you
forgot
see
about
his
that.
tits.
More entropy, by the way.
Oh yeah, and realistic. There's a lot of people who are getting that kind of drug sort of stuff. I'm telling you, like not intentionally.
Yeah, it's cool how the government just experiments on their on the military. But yeah, I think
Metal Gear Solid, dude.
Yeah, I know. I love Metal Gear Solid, dude. So yeah, Faye would be probably the worst part.
Yeah, sure.
But honestly, maybe I'm just desensitized from watching a lot of anime. Outside of, I think, the second episode she's in, which I think is the third episode, where she wears a dress that's like super duper revealing.
Sure.
Her yellow outfit,
it seems not that bad.
No, it didn't even register to me as skimpy for most of the show. Maybe I'm desensitized.
There's like one
or
two parts where it's like it's a little skimpy. Like there's like a jiggle or something, you know what I mean? But like for the rest, it's like
there's not a lot of fan service.
It's not much. No, yeah, they don't go out of their way. It's like she is a character who dresses in a sexy way, but it is not played as fan service.
They don't dwell on it like a show like Evangelion does with 14-year-olds. It doesn't. It's probably because she's not 14 that it doesn't dwell on it. But
I was thinking more with how Misato, the adult in Evangelion.
Oh, that too.
Because Misato, I was going to say Misato, they do it with her with more clothing on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it's not even the fact that how skimpy the outfit is, it's how they use it as fan service.
Who is I got a question for you. Who's your favorite character in Cowboy Bebop?
Oh, Spike for sure.
Really?
Spike, dude, I'm telling you that speech he gave about like be like water was fucking ingrained in my mind at least until I was out of college. Like, it was extremely influential in the way I think. You know, I've gone past that now being a Christian, but it, like, in my not quite Christian days, yeah, Spike for sure.
I like Faye.
Yeah?
She's my favorite. She's so much fun.
Faye's, yeah.
And I think she has the best arc. She actually kind of, like, grows and becomes better.
Oh yeah, Spike is a tragic story.
Spike's a tragedy. Jet is kind of ambiguous, but it does seem like he kind of like his heart hardens. Like he kind of becomes like a meaner guy.
Yeah, and Ed is unresolved.
Ed is an enigma.
Well, yeah.
Ed, yeah. Ed, I was so surprised. This is how good the show is. They made Ed a likable character. I liked Ed.
Yeah.
Ed is almost like is like a better donkey from Shrek.
It's a good joke character.
It's a good joke character, but at the same time, do I want my kids to see Donkey because they're gonna go, "Ha, Donkey's funny." I'm gonna be fucking annoyed. That's kind of a danger with it. Not that I would show Cowboy Bebop to a kid. Until maybe 12. 12, maybe I'll show it to my kid because it's
not even that bad. It's
really
honestly
not
just
that
the
bad.
skimpy outfit and the violence at the end and like Spike. I don't know.
The violence in the
I
show,
would teach them about stoicism first, and then we do like here's an example of
it. The violence in the show is, for me at least, as a man and as a cool guy, and as I like action movies. I watched a lot of action movies as a kid.
Sure.
The violence in this is like a cozy kind of violence.
It is. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know how to explain.
It's a cozy show.
But Sarah was watching, my wife, and she's going like, "This is really violent," and I'm like, "Really? This is a relaxing watch." I don't know.
You want to hear something wild?
Yeah.
So some of the show, a few episodes, were banned in America because they're too similar to 9/11.
Okay.
That's not the wild part.
All right, that's funny.
So so like 3 episodes. And I think one of them the Teddy Bomber episode.
Yeah, that would make
sure.
sense. Which is much more similar to the Unabomber.
I thought it was a Unabomber reference. I honestly,
it is a Unabomber
his name
reference.
is Ted. Yeah, I think it is a
Teddy Bomber. He has
Yeah.
his motivation is wanting to spread his like idea.
Which no one will listen to. Yeah, no, it is a Unabomber.
Yeah, it
reference.
is Unabomber.
But I was gonna say, but in Japan, half of the episodes were banned.
Really?
Because they were too violent. Because at the time, there was a bunch of, like, school violence going around in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, I think that might have been around the time of Nevada-ton. Do you know Nevada?
I know Nevada-ton, but I was wondering how close that was to the sarin.
Yeah, because there's the
gas.
episode Brain Scratch, that episode towards the end with the techno cult guy with the video game console.
Yeah.
That is 100% based on Aum Shinrikyo. The guys who did the sarin gas attack in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I think in Tokyo. In Japan, anyway.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that was... Well, and that's something, too, that actually kind of ties into this idea of Japan is almost like a pre-Christian or like an... Not like an anti-Christian or a post-Christian or anything like... But like almost a pre-Christian civilization. For most of it. I mean, there are parts of it.
You can see in a lot of Japanese stuff. Like we watched, well, that's a bad example because it got kind of close. But like Vatican Miracle Examiner or Evangelion, where it's like you have an idea of God and it's kind of close, but you're wrong. Like you've misunderstood a couple things. Kind of like how the Hellenists, like you get gods and power in the world, but there can't be multiple. That really doesn't make sense. It's like you get certain things.
Yeah. Well, I'd say more so, like the Greeks and the Romans, they get a lot of philosophical things, a lot of philosophical truths. They get a lot of virtues, and like, but not everything. And ironically, in similar ways to the Greeks and the Romans, like what do the Japanese get well? They get sacrifice.
Yeah.
They get family and community. But you know what they don't get? Sexual morals. Not at all. And you know who also didn't get those at all? The Greeks and the Romans. Mm-hmm. They also did not understand sexual morals. I mean, there were some like Vestal virgins and stuff. And there is that actually in the Japanese religion too, the Shinto stuff. But I think it's very similar. And I was going to say, the Aum Shinrikyo thing, and then also the cult in Cowboy Bebop, is also an example of that that sort of pre-Christian society, because ever since World War II, when the U.S. government refused to accept the surrender of Japan unless they said their emperor wasn't God, there's been like no real religion in Japan. I mean, they've been like nominally Shinto or Buddhist, but it's all just kind of like vague. And so that's why all these cults like Aum Shinrikyo can really take off there.
Because there's the hole.
There's a hole. There is a hole there. And that's why I think this show is very interesting. This is like if you were able to watch a TV show made by like Cicero or something. Like seriously. Like it's very, or Marcus Aurelius. You know, Cicero wasn't a Stoic, but you know what I mean. Like some Roman figure or some Greek figure. It's very interesting, and like them, has a lot of really good virtues. And like them, like we used to teach our kids in Western civilizations, we would start them with the Greeks, but they weren't Catholic. You know what I mean? But and the civilization was, but they know that that's a good first step. You know what I mean?
Huh. I like that. I like Cowboy Bebop being a good first step to heaven. Yeah, that makes sense. I think so. So that's what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm
saying a similar thing. I think after you've listened to this episode, Cowboy Bebop will send you to heaven. Mm-hmm. Especially like my concern with it sending you to hell is really wanting to emulate the rude, mean characters, or having or dying for kind of nothing, like Spike, and being the whole I gotta do what I have to do.
Sure.
But if you've listened to this, and even if you're the kind of person to listen to this, I don't think you're going to get that. So will it send you to hell? No. Like you personally listening. Yeah. No, I don't think so. But it might send some.
I would also say this could go on for a while, you know, so I won't try and like drag this too long. But I'll also say that like shit, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
All right.
Although I will say this is separate for the guy who was asking about like what to do with his life. So that's part of my advice is like you need to just like choose something, go do it. But also, you are from a divorced family. You all seem to be way too close, not in an emotional way or an honest way, but in just in a physical way. And not close in those other ways, it seems, you know. From what little information we have here. But if, like, I think to some extent, even if it's not whatever the best thing is for you, there's two things that need to get done for you. And one of them is that you need to become your own person.
Oh, big. I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, you can't be worried too much about your mom. Your mom should be worried about you, not herself.
Yeah. So first of all, there needs to be a separation. You're supposed to leave your parents, you know, and they're supposed to have done a good enough job that they trust that you'll go and do something good with that. If she doesn't, it's because she probably didn't do a good job, and that's probably true. But like, you need to become your own person, and that might just involve like go somewhere else where you are not in contact with them, and go do something else, even if it's like a fucking minimum wage job. And then you also need to answer the question of, what are you actually called to do, and is it making some piece of art? Because it isn't for most people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what you're called to do might be to be a priest or to be a father. You know, it's probably one of those two things. Maybe a monk, but so, and if you're called to be a father, like, this is something that people don't understand because we live in a Protestant culture, which is sad that it's seeped into this Eastern European country, as this guy says. But, like, a job is not a vocation. Everyone has a vocation in their lives. And those vocations are priesthood, father, or, like, holy orders, as in, like, a monk, you know?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, if you're a woman, it could be nun, or it could be wife and mother. But that's it. Being an artist is not a vocation. But you could be in some ways called to make a great piece of art, but that is secondary.
Yeah.
To be like even you look at like Saint Augustine. He wrote amazing works, which were all secondary to him being a priest.
Being a bishop.
That is he will be judged based on how he tended his flock, not how he wrote his books. You know what I mean? Even though those books had great effects, and it's obviously amazing that he wrote them, and that's all really good, but like...
It's like Aquinas. Aquinas stopped writing the Summa Theologica.
I was thinking of Aquinas as well.
Because he said, he had a vision of God, and he said, it's all straw. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And that's true. That's true. The Protestant work ethic and its consequences have been a disaster for the human race.
Yeah, like you should not... People have this idea that, like, I need to go find my passion. I need to go find the thing that... And it's like, no. There is nothing wrong with doing a, like, I work a manual labor job, and I do my passion stuff after that. You know what I mean? And, like, if I make enough money that I can do that full time, great. And I'm going to put in a lot of work to make that happen. Like, I'm ambitious. It's not like I'm going to just, like, let it slide and just, like... But if it doesn't happen... I've got the stoic foundation where what's the worst that happens? It never takes off. Fine.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like you don't have to do IT if you don't want to, but like, just like don't worry. Like your life isn't going to be work. If it is, you've done something wrong. But just you should probably have some kind of skill. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are just practical things about, like, it'd be better to get some sort of job, like, in a trade.
Don't think that whatever job that you have is what you are. This is this is what men do these days, which is really destructive.
That's another Protestant thing, too.
Yeah, but you meet a man, and typically, it's a little different around Catholics, I've noticed. It's cool, but not that different. You ask, oh, hey, what's your name? What do you do? That's the next question that's asked, which is like, it is interesting. You do kind of want to know, but like, then they go, that's that guy. That's FedEx guy. That is the concrete guy. You know?
Yeah.
And it's interesting, but men kind of boil each other down to something like that, which is not good.
It's good in some ways. It's practical, and it's like, okay, that guy's a carpenter. If I need carpentry work, I now know practically who I turn to get carpentry work done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like, that guy's doesn't work with his hands. I can't trust him to do this or that or anything.
Yeah.
You know.
But so
there are practical considerations of, like, you should probably look for a field, but like, that's secondary. Honestly, you need to become your own person, and you need to go fucking try and accomplish something. You need to find out if you need to do this kind of art stuff, or if you can live without it, and it's just like, it's kind of just folly.
Or if you're doing it for the right reasons. Are you doing it for ego because you want to be out there?
Exactly. That's kind
of what I learned when I was making my own YouTube channel. It's like, I'm just kind of doing this because I want to be out there.
And are you actually good at it? That's another thing.
Yeah, I think I'm better at editing other people's stuff than making my own stuff. So that's what I do. You know, it just as you kind of get into stuff, you learn your niche. I think, which this guy is as a teenager. He doesn't.
Sure.
You know, he's not going to be there yet. But that's put yourself out there with whatever you do, and probably learn a trade. I also just, if you want to do IT stuff. I don't know what it's like in Eastern Europe. You don't have to go to school. Just get some certifications.
Yeah,
you can probably, for some of your creative stuff, again, I don't know what it's like there, but maybe get some certifications in music so you can, I actually know I
don't know if you need certification. It's kind of weird.
Well, maybe make something and say, see, look, I made this. It's good.
I don't want to go on this. We can go on this forever. But there's like two more things I would say. One is that all of this is secondary to you just becoming your own person, because right now you cannot trust, if you're still living with this divorcee mom, you cannot be sure that you're not just wanting to be an artist because it's the opposite of what she wants for you.
Yeah, that's big too, yeah.
So that's number one. You need to separate and just do anything else. Doesn't even matter if it's like a bad idea, as long as it's not like an immoral idea. You know, you work some minimum wage job for a year, you'll be a better person by the end of it. You know what I mean? But on top of that, if you're going to be working anyway, dude, they pay like more than minimum wage. I don't know what it's like in your country, but like, you could get an apprenticeship as a carpenter and you'll make more money than some shitty job somewhere
Especially long term.
So,
big time long term.
So you can just do that. And practically, if you want to go into art stuff, you're talking about you're good at music, you know, some like basic music editing stuff and like coding stuff and like stuff like that. Work for other people until you have work for other people doing those things, and then in your spare time do those things for yourself, right? Like then you get better and you get paid to do it. Mm-hmm. So like if you're actually good at editing music, put yourself up on Fiverr and offer to edit people's music.
You know what you could do is you could make me a little outro to the podcast. like seriously.
You could, you could.
And then you put that on a resume, and I will vouch for you.
But we're not going to pay him for that because
I know, but
I'm just saying if he was really dedicated to doing this stuff, you don't go straight from, not typically, some people do, you don't typically go from like, I've never written a book to I'm a best-selling novelist and now I make all my money off of books.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you got to do some work first, and sometimes that work is, I've been writing for other people. You know what I mean? Like,
in conclusion, make me some stuff. Make me some jingles. All right. What are we watching for the next one?
Next one is going to be for Christmas.
The Christmas episode.
I mean, it shouldn't take that long to watch, so it might come out a little before. We might even get 2 out before Christmas, right?
We'll see. Please don't make any promises that we can.
I'm making no promises.
It took you
only thing I can promise
so long to watch Cowboy.
Only thing I can promise is that there will be an episode in December. Only thing I can promise.
You will always have an episode per month.
There will always be at least one. I'm thinking we might be able to get 2 out, is all I'm saying, but I don't know.
What's the next episode?
The next episode is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
We think there, surprisingly, will be a lot to say about that.
Everyone's seen it, at least in America. Everyone's seen it.
Oh yeah.
And as a child, think of how it seeped into the culture when everyone's seen it as a child.
It is culturally important, and I think it does have a lot of messages. Like I think even the audience, if you just think about it for like 2 seconds, I think a lot of people are gonna be like, "Oh, I see how that could."
Oh, interesting. Dentistry.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Do you like Christmas, by the way?
I do like Christmas.
Christmas is my favorite holiday.
It's great. Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to Christmas.
I hate the commercialization, but that'll be next time.
That'll be the Christmas conversation.
Yeah.
Will be the next episode. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Send in your emails. willitsendmetohell@gmail.com. Send in your cash. paypal.me/willitsendmetohell or patreon.com/willitsendmetohell. We're also on Twitter. @sendmetohell2. I don't know why it gave me the 2. You don't get to pick the ats anymore.
I don't understand it.
I don't want to be 2. Who's the other one? If I had known that, I would have made it Will It Send Me to Hell. I just thought it'd be a cool.
Yeah.
I'm still pissed. That was months ago.
Yeah,
I'm fucking pissed.
I don't know.
That it just assigned that to me. I can't change it. If someone knows how to change it, tweet me at @sendmetohell2. I want to know how to change it. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
I'm saying that to the listeners, not you.
Yeah.
All right, bye. See you next time.
God bless. See you.